Sporting no cat this morning. Where's the cat? He went outside, blasted right back in. He's in his most private place somewhere. Anyway, it's great to see you. I I think metaphor is one of the great teaching tools that all of the great teachers, the ones with great insight have used. Metaphor really works for us humans. Oftentimes it's a far better way of explaining than the technicality of something, but I was listening to a great speaker the other day. You might be familiar with him. Rupert, I like anybody named Rupert. Rupert Sheldrake. He's a wonderful scientist, written many papers, many books, which I've enjoyed a great deal. He's a great thinker, in my opinion. He is a member of the Anglican religion in England, and he lived in India for 7 years and got a great dose of Advaita Vedanta, the precursor, the generation of the Hindu religion, but in its most fundamental, basic, illumined form. And he just has this wonderful way of blending science and spirituality, religion and the technical. And in this talk that he was giving, he first stated how distressed he was that with the word supernatural. He does not like the word supernatural. To him, it reflects the split that happened a couple, 300 years ago during the Enlightenment, when the mind of men became illumined to the scientific inquiry and the scientific method. And at that time, there began to be this split, and certain great thinkers began to say that there were two realms. There was the natural and the supernatural. The natural was the things we could measure, the things we could put under a microscope or over a telescope, and the supernatural was this other realm, and it was very hard to explain. But as the Enlightenment moved along, other great thinkers came along who said, you know what, we really don't need the supernatural anymore. We really don't need hocus pocus, superstition, fairy tale, and we really shouldn't be wasting our time with things that we can't empirically measure. And thus came the great split, the great war, if you will, between science and religion that for some still rages to this day. For others, science and spirituality, or science and religion, they merge and meld together beautifully. Science is one more aspect of the spirit or the intelligence or the love and the wisdom of God, and the ability of our own mind to examine this beautiful world that we live in. But Rupert doesn't like the word supernatural because it describes this unnecessary split. So in essence, he says everything is supernatural. Takes a moment, but the miracle is ongoing in every moment. There's not a miraculous layer and then a mundane layer. It's all supernatural to the mind that's willing to see it. But he had this most marvelous metaphor. I've heard variations. I've used variations of this one before, but this one's really good. And I just thought I'd share it with you. Tonight, there's going to be a 100% full moon. Last night was pretty big, 99%. Tonight, that's 100%. Now, it might be cloudy where you're at, but the clouds could clear according to my iPhone. But if the clouds do clear, it'll be crystal dark, and when it rises and comes up into our view, and at 100% full moon, it's going to be quite beautiful and impressive. But if it is cloudy, the moon is still there. So just know this metaphor still works somewhere. But imagine the full moon up there, and imagine, 100 buckets of water placed on the ground out in front of you. And if you position yourself properly, the moon will reflect perfectly in all 100 buckets. You, as the observer, could look at all the 100 buckets. And if the 100 buckets were still, there would be a perfect reflection of 100 moons in those 100 buckets. Now, are there 101 moons? No. There's one moon being reflected perfectly in an infinite number of buckets. And that's us. Now, the great question is our bucket still enough? Is it quiet enough? Is it unperturbed enough that we're reflecting the infinite with great precision, great accuracy? Or are we disturbed, disrupted? Are we agitated? Are we constantly, chronically moving so that the reflection in our bucket of what could be a beautifully perfect and pristine moon, is it perfect, or is it wobbled? Is it broken up and shattered into 1,000 fragments in our bucket? You might say that when our bucket is shattered and there's multiple moons, well, there's there's all the world's religions, there's all the world's spiritual systems, there's all the world's point of view. But each and every one of us has in potential the ability to be still and reflect the one great moon. There's 100 billion buckets and there's one moon, but still there's one, and each and every one of us will reflect it. But it takes the cultivation of stillness, and that, of course, is meditation. Humans either are cultivating stillness or they're not. And if we cultivate it consistently, faithfully, persistently, we will reflect perfectly back the one that's always being broadcast in our direction. I thought it was the most beautiful definition. Now, will we always reflect the stillness perfectly? No, we are human and things will disturb us. A week ago was the start of my yoga retreat, and it was a perfect yoga retreat, except I got really angry at something with the ranch director, and I'm not going to go into details, that matters not, but boy, was I shaken. And I'm still feeling the repercussions of that foolishness and stupidity on my part. So my ability to hold my bucket still and calm is quite human and quite perturbable. But I'm working on it, and I'm trying to clean it up bit by bit. But anyway, I hope you get to see the moon tonight and imagine those 100 buckets, and let's keep our bucket as still as we can maintain. Have a beautiful day. I'll see you all tomorrow.